He's the first player that when he made mistake, some people went to different religious areas to go and lay a course, like just to go and be abusing him.
We are here for another exciting episode of ET Ranks, where we rank Nigerian players based on different categories. Today, we are ranking Nigeria's best ever midfielders.
I would have dropped into world class if I want to look at some things that he did.
If you drop him into world class, everybody in Nigeria will come for you.
You guys just ajo me on this one.
It's like, just give your ranking and move on. Stop.
Okay, world class. Okay, world class.
Greatest Nigerian midfielder of all time. 3, 2, 1. Hello, guys. Thank you for joining us once again. My name is AyoT, and this is EaglesTracker, the home of Nigerian football. We are here for another exciting episode of ET Ranks, where we rank Nigerian players based on different categories, different kinds of rankings, and of course, it's going to be very engaging and very educational. Today, we are ranking Nigeria's best ever midfielders. And of course, I had to come once again with my heavy hitters, my knowledgeable friends. I have with me my co-host of the Niger FC podcast, Nigerian Football Encyclopedia, Layi. Layi, welcome.
Thank you for having me again. It's nice to be here again.
Yes.
Looking forward to it.
And also, I have my Nigerian football apasionado, a man that has a lot of Nigerian football history in his head. I'm talking about Mr. Adedotun. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's good to do this with you guys once more.
Yes, thank you very much. So let me just explain very quickly how this is going to work for our viewing audience. We have 20 great Nigerian football players that have served well, that have done well for the Super Eagles as well as club level. And we are going to categorize them into 4 nice categories. There's going to be 5 players in each category. The lowest category is called the NPFL category. Then we have the Super Eagles category, we have the World Class, and then we have the GOAT, where the top 5 players will be placed, and then eventually we're going to rank them from 5 all the way up to 1. Okay, we're going to take it turn by turn, one after the other. We're going to choose a category and explain briefly why we decided to place that player in the category. As long as one other person on the panel agrees with the placement sticks. But if 2 other people disagree, then that person can be overruled, and we can put the player in a different category altogether. We're going to take it starting from Layi. Layi, you have the list of the 20 players that we're choosing from. Some from the older generation, some from the current generation of Nigerian players. Who is your first pick, and where are you placing him?
So I'm going to pick Wilson Oruma. Wilson Oruma, fantastic player. He won the under-17 World Cup with Nigeria in 1993. Won the Olympic Gold with Nigeria in 1996. Played at the 1998 World Cup. Also at the 2002 World Cup too. So I think he went to assist AFCON and 2002 the Nations Cup. So fantastic personality, he's a player that one of the victims of Jay-Jay Okocha. I would call him that because it came the same time when Jay-Jay Okocha actually played for Nigeria. And, I spoke to some people that are very close to him, when he was playing. When Jay-Jay is doing something, we say, I better pass this person, but now only him they see say better. Or that us no say Jay-Jay na baba. So for me, I think I have to put him in the world class category, not in the good category. I think he did well. He did well for Social, did well for Marcel. Fantastic personality. He for Nigeria too, but most Nigerian fans will remember him for the penalty miss against Nigeria in 2002 when he decided to take responsibility and he lost that penalty. So for me, I think it's going to be in the world class category.
Mr. Adedotun, how do you feel about that? I agree.
I agree, yes, Nilai, because I watched him as a young boy when he played for Insurance of Benin. When he came to play against us, I was there, And when they camped against Village under 17, I knew the young man, even with his younger brother, Dominic. So I knew he was a fantastic player. After the 17, he moved to RC Lens in France. Let me say, he played professional ball in France. Like said, it was just unfortunate that he was in the shadow of Jay-Jay Okocha. I believe that if they had been given the chance, they would have given Jay-Jay a run for his money. To me, it was a purposeful midfielder, not a fantastic dribbler like Jay-Jay, but a team player, a purposeful footballer, a team player. If not for the fact that his skills, I would have put him as GOAT. But I think I agree with you. Let me leave him as world class. Oh, I will go with, even though I don't see him play, but I heard a lot about him. I will go with the late Haruna Ilerika, Ilerika, because I heard from the older generation, from my dad. One day, my dad watched Messi and said, "Why is this boy playing like Haruna Ilerika?" Because Ilerika too was so diminutive, so short, good on the ball. He said that if I, the way when you used to dribble, Ilerika will not dribble only one, give like minimum of 3 or 4. And people are talking to Ilerika, that is the guy is the wicked person. They said it was so good. And like I always say, these guys came ahead of their time when Nigeria football was just starting. And they said what he did at 1976 AFCON, no, that anyone knew him. Just because we don't have many clips of him, except one shot that he scored. Then maybe technology was not a thing in Nigeria then. That's why I don't have many clips. And then there were not too many matches for national team. There were not too many competitions, except locally. I was also rank him as world class.
Similarly, do you agree? World class ranking
Yeah,
for
yeah,
Ilerika?
yeah. I will have put him in the what's it called, in the gold status, but based on his explanation too, I think I have to just agree with that. And the reason why is because what a fantastic personality. He granted one interview then that if you have played in Europe, that deported him in Europe because they have dribbled that they just come and hand over his passport to him and ask him to go home. It was that good. There's some clips online about him. In 1976, AFCON. He was that when the big boys, they did not go to the AFCON, they went there, Ethiopia 76, we got to see it. So they were so good, so good. Unfortunately, the team could not go to World Cup in 1978 because of that own goal. But for me, I just think that these are the people that set the standard before Jay-Jay Okocha. So for me, I think I agree with it doesn't that it's going to be the world class status.
All right. So we have two players now classified as world class as far as Nigerian midfielders are concerned. It is my pick. Obviously, I'm from a younger generation than you guys. So I'm going to go with someone that I'm more familiar with and that I was privileged to watch playing football. Very good midfielder. In my opinion, I think he was a bit underappreciated during his time playing for both club and for country. Played in England, and of course, even after finishing his playing career, he has gone on to do good things in the world of football. Currently working as a scout for my club, Chelsea. I'm talking about Sey Olofinjana. But at the same time, as much as I love him, I have to save certain spots for certain people that are still on this list that I think I'm going to rank ahead of him. So I'm going to put Sey Olofinjana in the Super Eagles category. I don't think he's quite world class, and I do not think he's one of the Nigerian football goats as far as the midfield conversation is concerned. Like, how do you feel about that?
I have to still agree with you again on this because, Olofujano, I don't think, with due respect to him, does not measure up to the two guys we mentioned initially. So, and I think that, but he did his own part for Nigeria, notably during the AFCON 2004. I remember then the instruction from Christian Shuku, his former coach then, was that when you get the ball, look for Jay-Jay Okocha. It was so good. And I remember that he also played in the Nuga games, the Nigerian University game when it was the University of Lautech. The moment you see him play for that University of Lautech, you know that this one go play for Nigeria. This one go play because it was held and shoulders above everybody. That was playing around him there for Lautech. So for me, I think Super Eagles category too. Unfortunately, his career did not really kickstart. Though I think it started late because of he went to Norway, did some field things. He did not really, we're thinking that, oh, this is the new Patrick Vieira. But unfortunately, um, he did not live up to that Patrick Vieira stack. But Super Eagles category, well deserved.
I watched him at the LG Cup for Nigeria, only found out Christian Shuku. I was so fantastic. I watched him when he played for, I knew when he played for Crown, and he also played for Kwara United. They always put education above everything. His love for his academies delayed his move to Europe, which I think if he had left earlier, maybe his career would have blossomed. But I think he actually put his education above his football career, which made him to leave late. I will agree. If there's anything like African, I can put in there, but I say Super Eagles, I'll take the Super Eagles. I agree with you guys.
All right, amazing. So we now have one player in the Super Eagles category. Smidlai, it's back to you.
So, I have to go to someone that a lot of people is the first player that I have witnessed that when he made mistake in the tournament, some people went to like different religious area to go and lay a course, like just to go and be abusing him. I've never seen that one in my life. It happened when I was there, I was somewhere around Nigeria. I don't want to mention the place. So people will know that I was there. So it's Sani Kaita. It was Sani Kaita. He got the red card against Greece, had a 2010 World Cup. In that night, people that were supposed to be his own people, they were laying calls on him, like openly. So for me, I think a very good player, remember him for Canopilas. He was also part of Samson Azia's Olympic team in 2008. Played in Nigeria on that 20 World Cup in 2005 alongside John Mikel Obi. He was doing the slave work for Mikel Obi. He was winning the ball for Mikel Obi. That's why you see Mikel Obi shined in that tournament very well. For me, Super Eagles career did not really, really, he didn't really do well in Super Eagles. So for me, I have to put him in the NPFL.
All right. I'm just going to jump in and say I agree with you. Not to knock him. I think he was a good player.
Yeah.
It's just that compared to some of the other players that we have to select from, he doesn't quite stack up. And like you said, the Super Eagles career maybe did not really take off. I remember that 2010 World Cup. I know people always criticize me for being young, as if it's my fault, but I was in SS1 during that 2010 World Cup. And I remember struggling, hustling in school to be able to watch that match. And then for him to get that red card, everybody was upset. Everybody was angry. I cannot imagine what was going on in the real world because I was in boarding school. But I cannot imagine what was going on in the real world. I mean, a good player, but yes, I'm going to agree with you for the NPFL category, Sani Kaita. Okay, Mr. Adedotun,
I agree.
who's your pick?
I agree with him. My next pick will be someone that everybody will like. Oh, how can this be? I will go for no other person than this man they call that also came before his time, Mudashiru Lawal. Muda Lawal was so good that one of the few players that could play anywhere in the midfield. And I always say that he also came before his time. And we're actually the first person to play at 5 AFCONs. He won silver, he won bronze, and he won gold. Muda Lawal. If, and like I always say, then people are not keen in moving to Europe. Or if you have moved to Europe, I'm sure a lot of people have known or seen the exploits of Muda Lawal. But in the local scene, he was so good for both for club and country. So, in my opinion, I'll put Muda one GOAT coach because we've never seen it is he left the national team. We've never seen a midfielder like him until he had someone similar to him, but life happened to that person and could not the job. I would say, well, Muda one good.
Fadlai, do you agree with that?
Yeah. Before Musa started breaking records, just a few moves in the Yamata breaking record. He made the highest appearance for Nigeria before. That was when Caps was very difficult to even get a call up. It was very difficult there. A fantastic personality. He did well both domestically and actually what. And for the national team, a leader. He's a guy that can play as an offensive midfielder. He also play like a blocking midfielder. He's a workaholic. If you want to compare him to a player of nowadays, see a player like a prime Kevin De Bruyne,
Mm.
Someone that can shoot, can defend, it's just all rounder. And for me, I think, if not because of this player we have to mention here, I think he might probably be one of the Nigeria best midfielders ever. He also came before his time. He played in like in 2 AFCON finals, to tell you that he played in like how many semi-finals, like 4 semi-finals or so, to tell you, how successful he was there. Despite his age, Coach Hadebe didn't look for a way to pick him, in 1994 to go and play in Ivory Coast. Despite he was getting old then. So to tell you that how good he was, unfortunately, he actually he passed away a long time ago. So for me, I think I have to agree with him that Muda Lawal is in good, should be in the good category.
Muda Lawal takes the first spot in the GOAT category. I'm up next. So I'm going to go with one of my favorite Nigerian players of all time. for several reasons. Obviously, if you guys watch the channel, you know that I have a bias for Chelsea. And this is a player that really, really, really made me fall in love with him because of what he was doing for both my country and for my club. Multiple time, two-time Premier League winner, four-time FA Cup winner, two-time Carling Cup or League Cup winner, one-time English Super Cup winner, the Community Shield, one-time Champions League winner, one-time Europa League winner, bronze medal at the Olympic Games, and also winner of the 2013 Africa Cup of Nations on Obi Mikel. Even after he's playing this, you see that he's competing with us, creating content and doing very well. Amazing guy all around. Fantastic player in his day. And I am going to put him in the GOAT category because I think that his CV, his resume, his talent, and the longevity of the career that he was able to have, even though he still kind of retired early, in the days that he was playing, I feel like this is a man that did absolutely everything and he must be accorded as such. John Obi Mikel, GOAT status.
Yes,
Do you agree or
I
disagree?
agree with you. I will call him Muda Lawal's reincarnate. I just didn't
Yeah.
want to mention his name, but I call him Muda Lawal's reincarnate. I agree with you.
For me, I have to agree with you. For me, I think through the age grades was one of the few players that played for Nigeria at every level. He played for Nigeria at the under 17, and the under 20, and also at the under 23, alongside the Super Eagles. And you can see that at every level, he seems to win something. For Nigeria, he's one of the Nigeria most decorated player. In the history, he won the AFCON. Can never won the AFCON. He won the Champions League. Never won. He put him. You put him there. For me, I think Mikel Obi, he should rightly take his place there in the good category.
Right. Amazing. Now we have two players in GOAT. We have two players in world class, one in Super Eagles and one in the MPFL category. Smithlai, is back to you. Who's your pick?
Since you guys you are picking goats, me too, I want to pick goats.
Okay.
So, and I have to pick, I call him Yellow. That is his name. When he was playing street football in Lagos, I don't know we know the player about. They call him Yellow. Sunday Okechiko Oliseh. For me, I think he's the best. If you ask Ferdinand today, that is the best Nigerian player ever. He was like, 94 World Cup. Sunday Oliseh, he came before his time. He's so talented in every. There was a game that he gave like 4 assists. To tell you, we have a player here. They call the dribbling wizard. But for me, Oliseh was playing as a deep line playmaker. He had more assists in national team than the dribbling wizard. To tell you, for me, I think he is probably Nigeria's best midfielder of all time. He was just so good. He was playing for highest, competing at the highest level, dot more, went up. It was fantastic personality. Also did well for Nigeria too. Going to the 1998 World Cup, he was one of the players that we have high hopes on to do well for us and see where we can actually even get to the last stage of the World Cup. For me, something they say should be in a good category. I think his achievements with the national team is just something that you cannot just rub off. He has won nearly everything. He won gold, 94. He won silver, 2000. He won bronze, sun and two. To tell you that you guys have said it all. He won Olympic gold medal in 1996 too. So for me, I think he's probably Nigeria's best.
I mean, I don't think anybody that's watching this or in general can disagree with that sentiment. Sunday Oliseh is one of the best players. I didn't get to watch him that much because when I was just starting to really understand football was towards the latter end of his career. But I know the legend of Sunday Oliseh. I know how good he was as a football player. I know what he did for Nigeria, as Smithlai has rightly laid out. So I have no option but to 100% agree with that one. He's amongst the goats of the Nigerian midfield. Sunday Oliseh.
First match for Nigeria was against Ethiopia. We won 6-0. Before I scored the last penalty. In all the goals, the Ogochukwu said, a 15-year-old had a hand in all the goals. If the king was still alive, the king will also be giving thanks to Oliseh for even contributing to some of his goals that he scored. So with that, nobody dare argue that Sunday Ogochukwu is GOAT. And when I was playing football, and I was in the midfield, I would make sure I like number 15 on my jersey. Or he was my role model when I was playing football.
Yeah.
And I mean, is one thing is that even if you are born in the 2000s or maybe even in the 2010s, you have most likely, if you watch Nigerian football, you've most likely seen that strike that he scored against Spain. That is one of the most legendary goals by a Super Eagles player. It can never be forgotten. He has stamped his name in history. 100% has to be a goat of our midfield.
Yeah, yeah. For me, I also, let me just highlight one of my favorite moments for Sunday was when he was down with malaria. He was sick on the sick bed, but Nigeria was down. Of course, Nigeria was down by one goal, against he came on. He came on then also. No, it was just it was coaching from the sidelines. He was doing everything, just to know that the commitment, and you can see the way he was crying like a baby when Nigeria lost the final in 2000, against Cameroon, on home soil. To tell you the commitment, of Sunday to the national team. For me, I don't think we will have. That's why he speaks passionately about the Nigerian Super Eagles. That's why sometimes I don't think we will have a midfielder like him again.
Okay, that's great to say. Mr. Adedotun, let me challenge you a little bit. Give us somebody in the NPFL category.
In the FFS category, I would say
Yes.
Give us
Sunday
somebody.
Umba.
Okay, why? Why do you think
Thank
it's
you very much.
NPFL category?
Sunday Umba, the only time we saw him, he was captain of his under 17 is a time when he came to Super Eagles, he was playing in the local league. Remember, there was issue between his team, club, the Rangers, and the other club he played for, the club in River State. So he only did well in local scene. Apart from the winning goal that he scored at the final of the 2013 AFCON, Sunday Oba did not really play well, live up to the expectation. And when he was able to leave Nigeria, he went to CA Bastia in a second division in French Championnat, and the club was languishing in the bottom. I think second to the last in the league when he joined them, say Bastia. And since then, he went to oblivion. So that was I would call him NPFL because his best was in NPFL. Apart from the final goal that he scored for Nigeria at the AFCON 2013, it's NPFL.
Like, do you agree with that?
Yeah, for me, I have to agree with him. Unfortunately, a very talented player, but it's just unfortunate for him not to get those moves at the right time. A lot of people said that it was being linked, all this audio link to Bayer Leverkusen. Then, there's a guy that was in Bayer Leverkusen then that you guys bought in Chelsea. Is it Shola? Shola also.
Andre Shola.
Andre Shola, yeah. So with the band of Agozen be, when they have Shola, would they be looking for them? But so I don't know if it was audio this thing there, but for me, a good guy, very humble personality, but you can't just compare him with the players I've mentioned here. That's why I have to be in the NPFL. He captained Nigeria at the under 17 AFCON in Gambia, in 2005. I still remember there alongside Simon Zenke, they were Simon Zenke. So I remember, I actually tipped him to do well. But since, it's not our generational talent, but he did well, right? So for him to be in this top 20 is a big achievement.
I mean, I think he's mostly in this top 20 probably because of that goal that no one can forget
Yes.
against Burkina Faso in 2013 AFCON final. But I
Mhm.
think I would also agree with you guys. MPFL class is not a knock on him. It's just, based on the other options that we have today. Okay, my turn. Again, I'm going to go for somebody that I was able to watch. This man is a man that I don't know why exactly, but growing up watching the Super Eagles play, I just had a very, very, very strong affinity towards him. He's just somebody that I loved his tenacity. I loved the effort, and I loved just the passion that it always looked like he was playing with when he was playing for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. You know, in fact, I would even go on and say there was so much respect for him that they put Mr. at the front of his name. I'm talking about Mr. Garba Lawal. This is a man that really was part of the reason why I fell in love with the Super Eagles and I started to watch and support the Nigerian national teams. Now, I don't think he was good status. I don't think he was world class status, but I think that I have to put him in that Super Eagles category because he lived and, he breathed Nigeria. He played with passion, he played with energy, and rightfully so, he was also a quality player in his day. So, Mr. Garba Lawal, I'm going to put him in Super Eagles category. How do you guys feel about that?
For me, I think rightly so. We have not disagreed now today, this so because I looked at the world class category and also, it's just there. Sometimes he plays left back on Nigeria. It's just there. He will just do the job. It's not as if he was exceptional. You have to pick some games too. use it for Nigeria. For example, now the goal is scored against Italy at the Olympic Games in 2000. When no, with the penalty was like a brilliant penalty. I've never seen a penalty like that.
Yes.
That the net, oh, the commentator said that if you catch it, you will die. That was the commentator was saying that the penalty it was nice. It was against Buffon. So, it's like it was tough. So another one I have to I like was the goal he scored against Ghana. I told you that 2002 AFCON when we were like Ghana was playing us anyhow. And they were just from under 20 World Cup came and actually what he scored. So for
In the
me,
quarterfinal.
so he did well, for Nigeria. He won the Olympic gold for Nigeria too. You have to say that, he played the World Cup for Nigeria. So it's something that's it's a big achievement for him. He nearly made the World Cup '94. It was just a French player. I think it was just Bayer then.
Yes.
So he nearly made the he made the 1994 World Cup. So for me, it's just there. It's just there. So I don't. I have to agree with you that Super Eagles, not NPFL. NPFL will be his scope is so sad to put him in the same category as Onoba.
All right.
I will say for me, I would have put Garba Lawal in world class. If not, that he left Nigeria late because he played most of the best of the football for Julius Berger, and the man served Nigeria. He was one of the players that were doing the dirty jobs, but you won't see him. If you are not if a good footballer don't watch football very well, you will not see him. He did most of the dirty jobs. And he could play anywhere in the midfield. When was the guy was playing 10? He could play anywhere in the midfield. And he could even play the wing back. And when he went to Europe to Royal Agency, I think he tried his best too. But I would have loved to do even let me say if I put in Spike Goose, I put in the top echelon of Spike Goose and a lower echelon of world class. And things Zanzibar. Yabalawa was a phenomenon.
All right. Now we have three players in the GOAT category. We have two in world class, we have two in Super Eagles, and two in the NPFL category. Smidlai is back to you.
Yeah, so I have to pick a player that a lot of people might not know. He's called Baba Otu Mohammed. What a player he was, a very good player in his own days. He was probably, I think, the first player to score 2 goals in an AFCON, in a single match in an AFCON tournament, for Nigeria. That was a goal against the old Zaire. That was the current DR Congo. He scored in that game alongside Golden Lucien and also Ojebode
That was about it.
in 1976 in Ethiopia, in Daridawa. That was where they played to do that tournament. So a player, very, very good player, part of those that put our name on the map. The majority of fans does not know that Nigeria were nothing before 1974. We were nothing. See, we hosted the Olympic Games in the early 70s and 70s. Then we won that gold medal. From that gold medal, the team that won the gold medal formed the nucleus of the team that went to the Ethiopia AFCON 76. That was when we won our first major medal at the AFCON, a bronze medal in Ethiopia. So it was for one to do that from the nucleus of that team alongside Sunday Oyerikwa. I don't know, maybe he just died. Oyerikwa, it was a policeman then. So so they formed like a nucleus of that team. So for me, I have to put him. I have to put him in the if not because of the way football was played then. I just go be in the Super Eagles category, because world class might be slightly was far off. Otu Mohammed, what a player he was.
Mr. Adedotun, you agree?
Yeah, I want to agree with me. Like, I would have loved to put in world class too, because I can remember the late commentator, NS Okocha, that when this team, Mighty Jets played against Rangers, and then Rangers have three players, Christian Yoba, Christian Chukwu, and I forgot the third one, that they said they should use that that the guy was dribbling all the Christian that NS Okocha said he has dribbled one Christian, he dribbled Christian Chukwu, Christian Yoba, and the other Christian. This man must be a Muslim. Oh, I thought so. His name is Mohammed. My dad said that was the highest ever of commentary then. That brought out this man. Also good, like good dribbler, just like Haruna Ilerika. But like I said, we don't really have clips, and technology was not in favor of us then. These people like this. I think he played in two AFCONs. He played in two AFCONs before he had injuries and everything went down. I also put in top percent of 5 goals. Top percent of 5 goals. because he didn't play. I didn't play football for long. Because of Super Eagles.
Yeah, it was all part of the those that was scouted. I don't know, maybe a lot of people just for education's sake. A lot of people didn't know that we had a football template before. Template was to go to 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria and go and look for talents. So it was part of those that was picked from the north. So it was we picked some people from the east. So they came with names. It was just that time was really, really actually what good. So yeah.
He was born in Ghana. In fact, there was this issue that said that his father was a Ghanaian, something like that. Born in Ghana. So just
Then a lot of players to play for Nigeria.
yes, many Ghanaians play for Nigeria. Why many Nigerians also play for Ghana?
Yeah.
All right, we have him in the Super Eagles category, making 3 players in that category now. Mr. Adedotun is your pick again.
I wanted to pick Otu Mohammed, but one player I also picked. Generally, we share the same last name. A lot of people know him. Mutiu Abiodun Adepoju, aka the headmaster. Mutiu Adepoju was also a phenomenon. He was in the team that went to 1989. In the semi-final, he scored 2 goals against the best goalkeeper of the tournament. I want to know that guy. Keskela scored to the final, and went on to break into the national team. I just checked after that, and he played the entire. Even 2002 World Cup was old. I played. Let's say he played virtually all his club careers in Spain. Real Sociedad and Santander. Also, it was just like Garba Lawal that would do their job in the midfield, or you not see them. He was so good as a player, very gentleman to the core. He was something like that. He did his part in the team. If I want to be biased, I'll put him world class. But let me just leave you as Super Eagles. Let me as Super Eagles. No world class per se. Super Eagles.
Milai, do you agree with Mutiu Adepoju Super Eagles?
I think Super Eagles, fair enough. I'll drop into NPFL, but it's just because of it's just like Lawa. He can play right back. He can play in the midfield. It's just there. He had a good select in Spain too. But for me, to be fair to him, one thing that stood out for me, I think, he did well in 1990 World Cup. He did so well in 90 World Cup. Fantastic player. And also went to the 2002 World Cup. For me, that spot did not deserve to be there. But I don't know how it got to that 2002 World Cup. So because he was already on his last legs. And that was when actually called retired from international football. So for me, Super Eagles is fair enough. We have so many Super Eagles world class. And with your own word IoT, that when you're discussing about Nigerian players, they are Super Eagles class. So it's showing in this podcast that you are putting Super Eagles class. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we have Mutiu Adepoju going into the Super Eagles category. So now we have 4 players in that category. We have 3 in GOAT, 2 in World Class, and 2 in NPFL. I believe it's my turn now. Okay, so I'm going to go with another player that I was privileged to watch. I don't know how people might take this, but I feel like based on, the number of appearances that he has made for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, has scored at least one very, very important goal for us. A player that is, loved sometimes, hated sometimes. A lot of people love to hate him. But for me, I feel like people do not necessarily give him the credit that he deserves. Is he the best that we've ever seen? No. But I think he's somebody that when he's out of the team in the future, maybe in the next 4-5 years, people might look back and say, it was actually a good player. And people might, history might remember him fondly. And I just want to take him now so that you guys don't disrespect him and put him in MPFL. I'm talking about Alex Big 17 Iwobi. A lot of talent as a youngster coming up through the ranks at Arsenal. Obviously wasn't able to really make it big in terms of his playing career, but steady Eddie in the English Premier League, it's not easy for somebody to play in that league for such a long period of time, even in this generation of football. So for me, I'm going to put Alex Iwobi Super Eagles class. Obviously, I'm not going to put him world class because I don't think he quite hits that height that he could have hit based on his talent. But I also think that he's not on the level of the Sani Kaitas and the Sunday Umbas, even for club and country. Alex Iwobi, Super Eagles class. Do you agree or disagree with me?
100%. I actually would agree with you. I think he came with packs of potential. A player in National Academy, the profile was like so shiny, but for me, 85 or 86 caps now, I don't think he has really lived up to expectation. All those games are just average, average games. The game that I think that it was so exceptional was against Syria alone when we scored 2 goals. But unfortunately, we drew 4-4 in that game. So that 4-4 overshadowed his performance, in the first half in that game. So for me, I just think that Super Eagles class is justified. It's just racking up those caps, but unfortunately, you cannot look back and just say that Sey Olofinjana did this place, it go different. I just think
But I
that
think part of the reason why his performances maybe have not lived up is because of his ability to just try to be versatile and serve us wherever we need him. Because when I look at it, he's probably the player of this generation that has been played out of his favorite position the most.
yes, almost.
Always just having to play a different role, play different positioners to give the best for his team. So while I understand a lot of people are not too happy with his contributions, for me, I still hold him in high regard. I'm not going to go as far as saying he's a world class player, but I think he gets his props in the Super Eagles. And as of the day of recording this video, he's one of the senior men in the national team,
Yes,
and he's also the one that scored the goal that sent us to our last World Cup.
yes.
As of when we're recording this, hopefully, if you're watching this video in 2026, hopefully we would have qualified for another World Cup. But yes,
His goals called, he goes to take us there too.
but yes. So now our Super Eagles category is full. We have 5 selections there. We have 2 selections open for GOAT, 3 open for World Class, and 3 open for NPFL. Smidlai is back to you.
My next week is going to be Peter Ogenyi. We struggle to know his position when he was in Warrior Wolves. They call it the new Amokashi. He's the new Kante. As they have called him several names. His major highlight for Nigeria was when he scored 4 goals in a game. And there was 4 goals in a game against Japan at the Olympics 2016. For me, it was that big part player that always play alongside Wilfred Ndidi in that central midfield role, under Gennett role. For me, he cannot pass to save his life. That is why I won't get. A player I like for his commitment, he's a big, he's got this strong base in Nigeria that likes him because of the way he runs around. But for me, I think it's about power, but not really the knowledge about the game. So, based on his achievement for Nigeria, I think he only went to one AFCON, if I'm not mistaken. He went to AFCON in, what's it called? The one in 2019. 2019. And he didn't do 2020, that he got injured in that tournament. That was when the people came, and partner with Wilfred Ndidi. In my own opinion, I think it's going to be MPFL. I don't, Super Eagles category 2, which I don't think it even deserve to be there. The world class is so much to cost. So for me, I think it's going to be MPFL. For Peter, I'll get a career table.
Mr. Adedotun, what do you think? Do you agree?
I think I agree with him. To me, it's NPFL. Maybe injury actually, didn't injury actually didn't help his career. He was a player that took to greatness, but due to injury, I'll leave him in NPFL because he didn't even have the chance to do a lot to Super Eagles. I'll leave him in NPFL.
Yeah, I would also say MPFL makes sense. Especially since the Super Eagles category is full, you can't quite put him in world class. Okay, Mr. Adedotun, your pick now.
Oof. One player that I would like to pick uh, is Ademola Adesina. One of the few people that have played at 4 AFCONs. He played 82, 84, 88, and 1990. And these guys all played in the local league. Locally was still good. By the time he moved to Belgium, was getting to his prime, and he said we cannot put anybody in Spikes again. But I love for Ademola Adesina in Spikes. Was a very good midfielder. I said very good midfielder. A player like Raphael Oyetika, reminds me of Ademola Adesina. A player like what do you call him? Actually reminds me of Ademola Adesina. Ademola Adesina, I would have loved to put him in Super Eagles, but like the of the game, that we can't put another person in Super Eagles. So let me just put it NPFL. Higher NPFL, but me I would have been Super Eagles.
Smedlai, do you agree or disagree with that?
Because there's no Super Eagles category there, and it's going to be far, it's going to be too far fetched for me to also place him in the workout category. So I have to still agree with you again. Though I don't like to agree all the time, but it's just going to be NPFL for Ademola Adesina.
Okay, MPFL for Ademola Adesina. Okay, It's back to me now. It's back to me now. This is a player that every Nigerian that watches football, in fact, even if you don't watch football, you have to know this name. Obviously, he's one of the guys that left such a lasting impact during his time with the national team that till today, we still cry for somebody like him in our midfield. Played at 5 AFCONs, if I'm not mistaken. Top scorer of the AFCON in 2004. Played at 3 World Cups, won an Olympic gold medal. So good that they named him twice. The uncle of our own Alex Iwobi, talking about Augustine Jay-Jay Okocha, one of the players that made me, as a younger guy, fall in love with football in general and also fall in love with Nigerian football, fall in love with Nigerian players. I was so proud. Even after leaving Nigeria, coming abroad, whenever I talk about football with anybody, everybody says Okocha, Okocha, Okocha. That's one name that rings loud. One of, if not the most legendary in terms of popularity, in terms of name, in terms of wherever you go to, people will know him. Austin J.J. Okocha, I have to put him in the GOAT category. One of the greatest, Austin J.J. Okocha. Anybody disagree with that?
I
I, I can't disagree with that. For me, I think it speaks to the ball and ball listens to him. I remember the first time that Nigerians knew about Jay-Jay Okocha. He left Nigeria unnoticed. So when he came back, when he didn't even come back again, it was one complete sport there. We used to publish complete sport on a monthly basis. So it was only to say, there was a Okocha in Germany. So the person we knew then was Ima Okocha, his elder brother. So no, this one is not Ima. This is Augustine. He's in Germany. And and when this guy came, kudos to West Ham there. When this guy came, he changed the narrative of Nigerian midfield. And God bless him too. He also had a very good partner in that midfield, Sunday Oliseh. Two of them, they don't really get along very well though. But when he's on the pitch, you will know say they are working together. What a player AJ was. AJ can dribble anybody. In fact, a player that played with him, national team, said that if the day go good, like from JJ body language, they go no. Say if he dribble, the first dribble enter, say they go win that match. so you also know that he's your coach. So for me, it's gonna be up there. So I agree with the good category, 100%.
All right, amazing.
I said, God bless, kudos to JJ. We know JJ when he played alongside Talibo at what African Youth Championship 1993. We knew it then. Alongside Tessie Fatusi. That way we knew when we saw the name Okocha, his elder brother played for at the AFCON 3 years before then, Imam Okocha. We're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
his man back in 2019, but we knew it. Imam's older brother, Austin Okocha. And then I think was in Sabuken or I think moved to Interfra for them. Shortly after that competition, even though led by James Peters, even though we didn't really do well much by three, shortly after the competition, that video came out. That video came to the air where he dribbled everybody in Bayern Munich, including Oliver Kahn.
Legendary video.
Oliver Kahn. But I would have dropped into world class if I want to look at some things that he did. But I'm not going to take away his performance from him. See, say agree to you, the OAT. But
If you drop him into world class, everybody in Nigeria will come for you. In GOAT category, we have 4. So only one more spot left in GOAT. We have 3 spots left in world class, and then we have 1 spot left in the NPFL.
So I have to go for this player. And not in this team, but I'm gonna mention his name, Samuel Okwaraji. You know, if there's some of us clips online, a lot of people will know that it was the generation before in the legendary '94 generation. So they were also building to go to the 1990 World Cup alongside with the Wonder Boy Paul Aminte. But unfortunately, that death happened against Angola in Lagos. So that really what destabilized the team, and the team narrowly missed out to qualify for the World Cup in 1990. And knowing that Cameroon went there to go and do wonders. If what a player he was the few professional players that used to come from Europe then to come and play for Nigeria and so commented. His major achievement was doing so well in Morocco 1988. What a player he was then. But unfortunately, we all know is that the poor magics and so on, what happened at National Level in Kano, in what's it called, in Lagos, when he actually collapsed and he lost his life there. In my own, if he had lived, maybe probably more than that time, I think we won't be discussing, say, he will have been one of the legends of the game. So, because of those sports still left in the world class, I cannot put him in the NPFL because of the level of players and the NPFL. With due respect to Sani Kaita and so on, I have to put him in the world class category. I just think that he's someone that gave a lot in the little time I spent on earth with Nigeria.
Mr. Adedotun, do you agree or disagree with that one?
I hate to remember that day, August 12th, 1989. I was at the stadium then. I was supposed to be part of the ball boys, but they said, oh, then they should give it to people that are younger than us. I was about 14 then. And I remember that memory, sometimes I cried, So like to just add to it, this was someone that he was playing in Germany and studying in law. And he used to come down to play for Nigeria without asking for any ticket refund. He was so committed, that everyone knew that Nigeria was going to qualify for that World Cup. You listen to Peter Franco. He said when he went for second leg, all of them, they went for second leg at least 2 weeks after. All of them, they were devastated. They couldn't play. They couldn't play well because of that death of Okwaraji. Somebody that they worked together from 88, did that together. If not for that, I think Samuel Okwaraji would have gone to be one of Nigeria's greatest player. And I was also angry with like I put him in world class. God bless his soul. God bless his soul.
I mean, I will say I'm much younger than you guys, so I never watched him play. Obviously, he died before I was born, but he's one of those players that every Nigerian football fan must have heard his name. We know about, his death is very popular. They gave us like 20 different versions of what happened that day. Some people said the kick ball, he turned to lion and the lion is what killed him. All sorts of things that they said, and I think it's just is a credit to him that even though his number of matches for the Super Eagles were not that many, but people still hold him in such high regard. I cannot disagree. So I'm going to have to agree with you guys. Samuel Okwaraji takes the third spot in the world class category. All right, Mr. Adedotun, it's back to you.
One player I'm going to choose again. Nwosu, the legend of Nigerian football. This was the player that went to the AFCON, that got to Super Eagles as a secondary school, as a secondary school student. Was in Selfie Bus. Was Selfie Bus. Keshi went to. Was Selfie Bus, got to secondary school. He was part of the AFCON. When you see Henry Nwosu, then you see football. It was in 1980, 1982, 84, Maroc 88. It was one of the few people that played for AFCON. Henry was so too. But I always say, these guys, they played when there was no that rush for European professional football abroad. He played for ACB of Lagos, played for NNP of Benin, played so many brands. It was so good. And also, Egypt did not even help him to, by the time it was managing for Europe, they already reached his peak. So I will put Nwosu in world class category.
I looked at the list that we have left here. If you're going to put Erin Wosu in the world class category, I don't think anybody here deserves to be in the GOAT because I cannot put Ndidi in the GOAT. I cannot say I want to go and put Ogenyi Onazi in the GOAT. So there's so many MPFA candidates here. What I will say is that it's not as if he didn't have privilege to go to Europe. You know what he did? He went to Europe. It was too cold. It was too cold. He came back because Nigeria was good then. Nigeria was good then. You don't have any cost to travel for what? The pounds is similar to Naira. Like the same thing, even stronger. So it was too cold. He came back and he scored the ghost goal. I got the ghost goal because he was allowed at the final of the AFCON day against Cameroon. He's a player of half eight, half 10 player. He's a player that Eric Shell would have been looking for by now. But unfortunately, Nwosu is retired, So, in my own opinion, I have to disagree with Mr. Adedotun because the players here cannot, they are not ahead of Nwosu to put in the world class. So, Nwosu is one of the best players taking the ball for Nigeria. If Nwosu is playing, if you remember, Adedotun, Nwosu was one of the players that was not compromised in the 94.
Yes.
So, he's a patriot to the core. So apart from his Maradoish, because that on the pitch, he's also a patriot and committed player to the club. So I think I will have to put him slightly forward to the water category, to the good category.
What category? You know what? On this one, I'm going to agree with Smith-Lai. I'm going to agree with Smith-Lai. I just think that even though I did not watch him play, I've heard a lot about him. I've heard a lot about his contribution. Even Mr. Adedotun, while you were talking about him, you listed out some of the things that he did and his accomplishments, the number of tournaments that he played for with the Super Eagles. And, with all due respect to the rest of the people on the list, it's hard for you to really say that those guys deserve a spot ahead of him. A lot of the younger players that are on the list as well, they just have not maybe achieved at the level that if they had achieved more, maybe they could have got a bigger shout into the world class, into the GOAT category. But maybe they haven't. So we're going to overpower you here. It's back to me now, my turn now. We have one spot left in NPFL and two spots left in world class. So we have three players to pick from. This one, some Nigerian fans, some people that are watching this might not be happy to hear this. But considering the spots that we have left, I have to give him his just due. His career maybe has not hit exceptional heights for people to want to praise him that highly. But I remember that there was a time where we thought that he was going to be the new N'Golo Kante. We thought he was going to be that guy that would, become this beast in the midfield. A combination of different factors, injuries, Leicester City not achieving the same heights, etc., led him to have maybe the more humble career that he has now. But he's one of those players that has always been focused. He has still won an FA Cup. He has won the EFL Championship. And he has served the Super Eagles for a long time and is still serving right now as one of the vice captains of the national team. So, of course, I'm talking about Wilfred Ndidi. While he is the subject of a lot of criticism as of the day that we're recording this video, considering the number of spots left and the potential that he had, I think I only have a spot in the world class category for Wilfred Ndidi. What do you guys think?
I agree too. Me too. He was a player that I followed very well, and like I always say that if not for the fact that he always puts there, I always say he look up as Kusibe, that anybody want to go through. You will be injury free. If not for injury, I believe Ndidi would have gone ahead to a greater club. He would have gone to a bigger club than Leicester City. Because of his incessant injury, because of the way he used to play his football, it's not that he just not that he did not taking it easy. Ndidi was already ready to go for any ball, any tackle. Challenging affected his career getting injury. That's how I agree with you. I'll put him in that world class. It's actually there.
You guys just cajole me on this one. I, I, I don't think he's in world class, in my own opinion. You know, uh, if Olofinjana is in Super Eagles, I don't know what else he's doing in world class. With due respect to what he did, he didn't win the Premier League with the Leicester. He came after they won the Premier League. He had this season that he was having nine number of tackles. But the issue basically is that some people, did these things more than him. And for a player that's meant to be in his prime now, you know, he's jogging from Premier League and so you before. So you guys just cajole me about that, and I can tell you that people have been saying that I've been good for the national team. It's just because of people don't like to cop some people out against Zimbabwe. It was part of those that made the mistake.
Yes.
So
See,
Yes.
every player has had mistakes and has had
yes,
bad games.
and come, it's not only one because sometimes
Every player has had multiple bad games.
even when they were blaming Kevin Bassey in the first goal of the Republic in the World Cup qualifier in Abidjan, Who went to the ball and the ball beat him first before Canvas got come? No, I'm just saying it because people don't call all these things out. Who put Ola in trouble and Onaga in trouble against Tunisia when that shot in AFCON? People did not mention these things. What happened to Mares? Mares for that free kick. People are not mentioning these things. They are not mentioning these things. If see, I don't want to. It's just we're ranking. We're ranking. So what I'm just saying is that okay, I will dash him the world class, but because it is what there's no sport in Super Eagles, so that's the reason why. Just dash him because he has done more for Super Eagles than good, in my own opinion.
I disagree, but let's move on. Let's move on. Okay, like we have two spots left. We have two players left. One has to go in world class, and the other player has no option but to go in MPFL. So who's your pick?
For me, and this is another issue again. For sort of those that criticize him when they came to the Super Eagles through the back door as a what's it called as the alternative player in the World Cup qualifier. I think we was playing Bahrain. Was it Bahrain? He was playing Bahrain then. To me, injury was not, one of the kind to him, a player that he played his heart out, during the 2013 AFCON, did so well too for Nigeria. The 2014 World Cup before, Matuidi gave him that career-ending injury. Since then, it was never the same again. People will say that he got injured on national duty, but nobody ever injured him now. But for me, because he's competing with Thompson Oliha, if I'm not mistaken, in that category. So I have to go because he played for Lazio with due respect, and he also won AFCON. Though they had to won, I know as he was part of the AFCON this thing, but just because of the Champions League, two World Cups, though he didn't play the last one, he didn't play in the 2018 World Cup. He was on the bench because of the so many mistakes he was making against England in the friendly game. So I don't think he was the first choice there again. Just manage him to world class, but this is a never. This is not fair. Those two guys will put on world class. This
Why use with like just give your ranking and move on? Stop,
is
stop.
okay. World class. Just give him world class.
I mean, I will say this about Ogenyi Onazi. If you go to Lazio fans today and you mention his name, they still have a lot of respect for him. They still put him on the pedestal because he made his mark when he was there. And like you said, he was someone that seemed like he was on the upward trajectory. Unfortunately for him, he suffered a serious injury. Things were never quite the same for him. I know that we cannot really use that one to cut him some slack, but I mean, we should still give him his props. If you think maybe he could have been in the Super Eagles category and we could have moved somebody else up to world class, but well, we did not think of it when we were choosing our ranking earlier. So we are going to have to stick with him, and I'm going to agree with you. I'll put Ogenyi Onazi there. Again, let's put some respect on his name. Ogenyi Onazi goes into the world class category. So that means that the last spot in the MPFL category goes to Thompson Oliha.
with you guys because, like Arisfilai said, Onayi played at the high level of football. He played in Europe, stuff like that. While Tosin played in ASEC Mimosa, in Africa. Tosin was just like Mutu and Garba Lawal, a dirty, hardworking midfielders that we know what they do. But also how he fell of injury that actually affected him. Hence, I agree with you guys that okay, between Onazi and Odia, you have to put Onazi, you know, in that world class instead of Odia. I agree. I can't but agree to that.
All right, all right. We now have to rank our top five of all time. But before we do that, let me quickly recap. In the MPFL category, we have Keita, Mba, Etebo, Adesina, and Oliha. In the Super Eagles category, we have Sey Olofinjana, Mr. Garba Lawal, Otu Mohammed, Mikel Obi, and Alex Iwobi. In the World Class category, we have Oruma, Haruna Ilerika, Okwaraji, Wilfred Ndidi, and Ogenyi Onazi. And then in the GOAT category, we have Muda Lawal, Obi Mikel, Oliseh, Jay-Jay Okocha, and Nwosu. Now, let us select our top five. Mr. Adedotun, you go first. And let us save the top two for last. So let's fill spots 5, 4, and 3 first before we select the top two. Mr. Adedotun.
I will give it to Nwosu.
Layi, do you agree?
Yeah, I think I essentially would agree with that. I think, looking at the type of names, that's actually what I we mentioned earlier. Pick Nwosu as the last person. And based on the players who actually what have in that category, I think it's got to be number 5. I think so. I think it's fair enough.
Okay, okay. This one now, I'm going to pick for number 4. I might be speaking out of turn, but I have stronger affinity towards the other 3 players. So I am going to pick the legendary Muda Lawal and put him in spot 4. Do you guys agree or disagree with me on that one?
I would disagree with you. If I'm going to put Muda Lawal, I will save him number 2 spot. Like I always say, if Muda has played during this time, I'm telling you, he would have been a player that everybody would have fallen with. Therefore, me, I would save this number 2 spot for the late Mudashiru Lawal.
Just because you know, then there was professional football. We decided to stay in Nigeria, and actually work. They did so well for states out of Ibadan. ICC there, goals for Nigeria. But the other players that is going to be above him here, they play at the World Cup. He had the chance to play in Aspire to they didn't qualify. He had the chance to play at the to what's it called? I guess 1978, they didn't qualify too. So and also in 1962, in Mexico 1962, we didn't qualify. So it's just that the guys that are that there too, they have shown their skill at the highest level than than him. We know he's a good player. It's just unfortunate that I have to tend to agree with you about the last 2 because those 2 we mentioned did not play at the World Cup. You have to show something, for it. The generation that played at the World Cup and more votes, because World Cup is the World Cup. That's why Adokiye Amiesimaka is going to be one of the African best players because he played at the World Cup. So for me, that World Cup is just a dent to his image. I think that it was a very, very good player, but that World Cup, I didn't go there really. It wasn't a fault. So you go and blame Shuku. So for I will agree with number 4.
All right. So we have Muda Lawal at number 4. Smilai, who do you have in number 3?
Well, I think it's going to be the Chelsea legend, and they call him Kerekenke Obi, John Obi Mikel. I think despite him being the most successful Nigerian player, in history, the most decorated Nigerian player in history, I think he was a very good player. But I think in terms of talent, I think in terms of their contribution for Nigeria, I think those other two guys probably would contributed more, than, there was Oliseh had so many game winning moments, for Nigeria. Jay-Jay Okocha had so many game winning moments, for Nigeria. But the same cannot be said about Mikel. Maybe because he played slightly further up, But the only time I see he did well was AFCON 2008 and also AFCON. He also scored against Zimbabwe, in 2006. I remember.
He did
So
well. He did well in what was that
let's
FIFA
say
tournament that they cancelled? No.
Fred Cup.
Fed Cup. Yes, I think he did well
Yeah,
in
he did
Fed
well.
Cup.
He was controlling Spain there. I remember he was dribbling Spain. So it's just that that game defining moment. So the reason why he's going to be number 3 is because he played in a similar position with Sunday Oliseh. And so they had more impact than him for Nigeria. So that's why I'm just going to rate him as number 3, just behind the former Juventus.
I mean, as much as I love John Obi Mikel, that's also the sport that I was thinking. When I was selecting my pick, I was battling between Muda Lawal and Mikel for number 4, but I said no, I'm going to put Mikel in number 3. So, Smilai, I have to agree with you.
I remember then, if you want to give a speech, say, okay, we want to train our kids so they can be the Kano and the coaches of Nigerian football. They use them as an example. Anywhere you go to, the first player they mention is Jay-Jay Okocha.
Because they played mid 90s, 94, 96. When Nations
Well,
Cup are only
I mean, we cannot knock them. As much as Mikel achieved, I still think that when people talk about Nigerian football today, he doesn't quite rank. And that gets us to our final 2. So let's do this one now. We have 2 options. So I'm going to count down to 3, and at the count of 3, everybody mention who your number 1 is, and then if we can all agree, then we take it like that. Okay, are you ready?
Mhm.
All right. So now, the GOAT of Nigerian midfielders, the greatest Nigerian midfielder of all time. 3, 2, 1. Okocha.
Oliseh. Oliseh.
I just knew that you guys were going to say something.
Oliseh. The Chelsea say, no.
I knew that you guys were going to say Oliseh. Okay, so Layi, why do you have Sunday Oliseh over Okocha?
It's just for me. It's just the numbers. When you have a player in your team that everything goes through him, he will come and play free kick. He will be the one to be waiting for the loose balls outside the 18. He will be the one to play long balls. Sometimes when the middle is very tight, we say we drop in deep between the two midfield, between the two defenders, and play. The numbers. So there was a game against Gabon. It was against Zaire at 94 AFCON. He had like 4 assists in that game to tell you the numbers. So if you ask anybody here, they will tell you that some of they say numbers are just too impressive. It was done with malaria against Senegal. 2000 AFCON. He came on the 80th minute to create those goals. To tell you that this guy is so intelligent. If we had somebody half as good as him in Nigeria now, half as good as this in Nigeria now, I think it goes over a problem more than getting Okocha. More than getting Okocha. Oh, but Sunday Oliseh, it might not be that popular, but for him, I think that those numbers are just those game-winning moments are just too much. And if you remember, there was a book launch they did. He said that I see again in the latest edition. I want to tell him that Sha Gbasimi means that just pass to me. Sha not see me, just pass to me because he knows where. Just pass, just pass. I ain't what a player.
I mean, I maybe because I'm younger, younger generation. So I have that stronger likeness and stronger affinity towards Jay-Jay Okocha. But at the same time, I have the wherewithal to look at what they achieved for both club and for country. As great as Jay-Jay Okocha was, even at club level, Sunday Oliseh was still able to achieve more with Borussia Dortmund, with Ajax Amsterdam. They both won the African Cup of Nations in '94. They both won the Olympics in '96. But as you also mentioned, when we look at the numbers, when we look at the productivity, that is something that Okocha haters today used to kind of knock him down and say, how are we saying that he's so great, but he didn't score that many goals? He didn't get that many assists. Even when he criticized Jamie Carragher, people were still saying, how can Okocha be talking, that he's just a showman and he didn't really have the productivity. So I am going to concede to you guys on this one, even though I said Jay-Jay Okocha, I'm going to concede and say Sunday Oliseh, should take that number one spot. Mr. Adedotun, your contribution on Sunday Oliseh.
My style when it comes to Chelsea. Since that 1993 against Ethiopia, that Sunday Okocha won that green green in front of own fans. Boys in Lagos, he had all his friends and he played for Schlossberger. We talked about since the first day he won that match against Ethiopia, and he carried the team as a body. He was so content to the team. Go and won what he said, all the matches for Nigeria. Only said always he gave more than 100%. What as a young player, as a captain, he was so committed. That alone, has given him edge over JJ. So he brought that spirit of the old Nigerian players, or the Muda Lawal scoring babies, brought it to him. So I always ahead of JJ.
All right. So there we have it, guys. That is the top 5 greatest Nigerian midfielders of all time. Our top spots, we have Sunday Oliseh. Second, we have Jay-Jay Okocha. Third, we have John Obi Mikel. Fourth, we have Muda Lawal. And then fifth, we have Henry Nwosu. If you agree with us, let us know in the comments. If you disagree with us, also let us know in the comments. And you can give us your own top 5. We'll engage with you. We'll debate you. And of course, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video and have learned a lot from my 2 fantastic guests. And I mean, this was a really, really fun one. And if you want to see where we ranked the greatest Nigerian defenders of all time, you can click the link on the screen and it will take you to that video. And subscribe to the channel so that you do not miss the next video where we're going to be ranking the greatest Nigerian attackers of all time. That one is going to be big and that one is going to be interesting. And coming after that video, we are going to rank the greatest Nigerian footballers of all time, regardless of position. So many players to choose from, so you do not want to miss out on these videos. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. But for now, I have to say goodbye to you guys. Thank you very much to my guest, Layi. Always nice to have you on and hear your football knowledge. Great
A
one.
privilege.
Yes. Mr. Adedotun, thank you very much. Deep knowledge of the 70s, of the 80s, and even the football, that before people started watching football. Thank you very much to be here again.
Thank you. It's a privilege doing this.
All right, guys. Catch you on the next video.